A recurring theme from Tam has been to detail the obvious role that Howard Brown is playing in the transformation of Indiantown, either by design or lack thereof. It really doesn't matter. So let's take a quick stroll through a little bit of yesterday, today, and tomorrow as we go down the rabbit hole one more time. In part one of this two-part report, I'd like to propose to you that Howard Brown and his social equity and social justice colleagues have seized a moment in time. He is making a pretty penny for it, too, and he's doing it with your money. Even if you do not live in the village borders, you pay state and federal taxes. And Howard is an expert at the redistribution of wealth, and that is what he is doing. Then there are the taxes the citizens of the People's Republic of Indiantown pay day in and day out. You see, by dominating the marketplace of ideas and playing follow the expert, it's giving him inertia to move whatever agenda he develops forward. It allows him to channel contracts to whomever he wants because he wants to. It allows him to set the table for dinner every time the citizens drop by for a feast at the feet of the HUD trough. He decides what gets considered. Does that sound safe? Would it be safer to say that maybe one or two of the council members were in on it? Nah, I don't think so either. Many that Tam's talked with have indicated that they'd like to see a copy or hear a real well thought out explanation from any of the council members or Howard on what the agenda that is being driven really is. That way, the people can help keep track of progress in that direction instead of listening to a progressive cheerleading squad. What is it that you think each council member is using to guide their decision-making process? As we've seen from Susan Gibbs Thomas, it appears to be critical thinking and servitude to office. As we've seen from Janet and Anthony, it seems to be whatever the experts tell them. Of course, Jackie does whatever her ACLU left-leaning HUD-level grant grabbers tell her to vote for or against. And there's Guyton. What can you say? It appears he's been openly neutralized given the level of lawsuit and ethics investigations that are underway with his name attached. Then there is his and Anthony's blatant association with Robert Burns and Kenny Johnson and, of course, the ever-popular Brian West, as well as others. So let me ask you, who's in charge if the minority of the council is not listened to or even given consideration to allow ideas to be heard before you, the citizen? Who's the oppressor of your voices if they're not allowed to see the marketplace of ideas in front of the council and the citizens for consideration in the sunshine? Many are fearful that left unchecked, that this abuse of power will sadly end in an economic mess that'll make D.C. look good. Who's driving this agenda? Is it the council? Really? Listen, in the end, the council votes and decides, period. That's the simple part. But outside of maybe one or two on the council, who is deciding what even makes it to the table for discussion or consideration by all five? How can you vote on something if it's never considered? That which is left out of consideration is equally as important as what is put in front of you for consideration. Ask yourself this: if the council's not the one providing the ideas available for consideration, who is? The experts? In the sunshine? The same experts that wanted to raise impact fees 9%. Remember that? It turned out these high-priced experts made a little critical error, with the decimal point being a couple of positions in the wrong direction on the final cut and paste revision. Whoopsie! Anthony was ready to steamroll the errant number through, while Miss Gibbs Thomas continued to demonstrate with math how big the error was. That's a correlation we're seeing. What are policies? We've discussed them several times here at TAM. The first was resisted by Anthony. It was a communications policy. He would have to conform, and that was going to cramp his style, he said. Why isn't there a council policy of guidelines to instruct Mr. Brown on how he is to handle the agenda? TAM has offered a starting point and did not even charge them tens of thousands of dollars to do it either. Why is it that council does not develop a policy for Howard to follow when hiring and firing consultants? In the least, a stipulation of guidelines to put out for RFP and share it publicly should be required. But to allow Howard to slice up the grant and taxpayer pool as he sees fit is wrong. There's too much opportunity for fiscal overreach and graft. As a council member, you're complicit in any act that does not occur simply by not taking action to guide the manager otherwise. Lack of policy is still policy. How about a policy instructing him on how he's to deal with information that's been given to him and how it's to be disseminated, discussed, and archived easily for public retrieval? Like this message from the Martin County Administrator to Howard. 8:30 from the County Administrator for the Martin County Board of County Commissioners, Taryn, and it was sent to Howard, and it reads, and I quote, Howard, I was sent the presentation that was presented to your council on Saturday on fire rescue and options for service. I'm not sure why you continue to provide inflated numbers to your council on what the county collects. Wait, stop, excuse me, inflated numbers? Ooh, okay, back in here. I want to start over again. I'm not sure why you continue to provide inflated numbers to your council on what the county collects via ad valorem taxes from taxable values in Indiantown. It is, and I'm quoting again, it is roughly 5.3 million, not the 5.9 million that your consultant is reflecting in his presentation. Could you please use factual numbers instead of inflated ones? Thank you. Well, Taryn, I tend to agree with you, and we thank you for saying the same thing. Does that really sound like the way your American form of governance that was adopted for this village is what you want? If the answer is no, then you have a choice to make. Making no choice is still making a choice. To change the outcome, you have to engage. You have to be involved. We've provided and will again in this article a link that you can send a private message to each of the council members with the click of a button. Let them hear from you. If you can take time to go to the meetings, even if you just sit there, it matters. There are eyes and ears on them. We bet that in a very short period of time it'll become obvious to you, the casual gallery member and citizen, of the gamesmanship and mishandling being conducted by some you've elected and others you did not within your village. If all you want from your elected council members is a Publix and paved roads, you probably have not made it this far into the discussion anyway. So please allow me to say that I like you, can see there is a problem. For me, the nucleus of the cancer is Howard Brown. There are more than one council members that have metastasized themselves to him as well. As long as you sit there and take it, you're going to continue to feel like you have no power. When you engage and you're repelled, don't stop. Is this your village? Are you willing to sit down, shut up, and give away to the highest bidder? They can't win unless you tell yourself that there's nothing you can do. You're exactly what it will take to turn it around, one by one, until there are 2, then 4, then 8, 16, and more. As we can all see by the gas prices and refugee surge at our borders, elections have consequences. Indiantown is about to find herself in a new election cycle in just months. Will you engage? Will you fight to replace the cancer and illness that has plagued our beloved Indiantown? Or will you sit quiet and do nothing as others decide your outcome? It is your heritage. No one else is going to protect it if it's not you. In part 2, we're going to discuss village fire rescue and what's going on with that. What does it really mean?